everyone, Jackie Mitchum-Yaki here. I am so glad that you have joined me today. This week, every program that you will see, we are featuring our great founder, the late George Otis. He has done some wonderful interviews. You're going to see, these are old favorites, Pat Boone, Carol Lawrence, Roger Staubach. How about former President Ronald Reagan and Barry McGuire? You will hear their testimonies and see the impact that they had on our early 70s generation and even into the 80s. Now remember, these were produced in the 70s, so they're not HD, but really they're high definition in quality. Well, let's see today's special feature.
Welcome to High Adventure, where we meet some of this century's most remarkable and uncommon people. Newsmakers, champions, celebrities, and achievers. And each with just one common denominator, one secret ingredient. Now let's find out what it is that distinguishes today's guest. Here's George Otis and that very special person High Adventure is honoring this week.
Yes, welcome to High Adventure, and we have a charming High Adventure guest today, one of my favorite people, one of the loveliest ladies in this nation, and none less than Carol Lawrence herself. Carol Lawrence, welcome to High Adventure.
You're very kind.
And you've turned a little Kiwi, I think, recently here as you've just come back from New Zealand.
Yes.
The land of the Kiwis.
Right.
And what were you doing?
I was doing a television show there, a musical special, exploring New Zealand with Vic Damone and some of the talented people from New Zealand. Have you ever been there, George?
I really have been to New Zealand. Did you go to Christchurch?
I didn't get down there. I was only in the North Island, but it was exquisitely beautiful.
Auckland and Wellington.
Right. I went to Lake Taupo.
Yeah. They have, it's a little bit like Yellowstone Park, isn't it? All of that hot springs. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
Around there, it's very
the
spectacular.
snow-capped mountains, and then right beside them are these geysers with steam flowing up and warm springs. There are fjords and absolutely exquisite scenery. Lovely people, too.
There is
very warm.
There is a compacting of a lot of natural beauty and what is it? I think there's 3 million people and 200 million sheep or something.
Yes.
Like that. It's a fascinating country, including the I think just the beauty of seeing those green hills just spotted with these pretty white sheep.
Yes. I danced through a sheep's meadow.
Did you really?
Yes,
I could
did.
just see you doing
And as we did it, you know, with the playback and the music, the sheep kept receding farther and farther away from us until we almost got rid of them. But they were so sweet. Beautiful, actually beautiful.
Now that's fascinating that you would be doing a special in New Zealand.
Yes.
There is everything is public broadcasting there. It's national broadcasting. So it meant that the Prime Minister himself had to agree that Carol Lawrence needed to be on television in the nation of New Zealand.
They are very selective. They really are a very close-knit nation and very old world in caring about people and helping you with your bags and everything. And they never expect to be tipped at all. It's quite charming.
It is a bit of England, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
To find it way down there in the far, far, far South Pacific.
Exactly.
And to be so Englandish, so British down there that it's a delightful place to.
I loved
be.
it. I enjoyed it tremendously.
Now the other thing that I just saw you on not long ago, just days ago, was a beautiful thing also from the South Pacific, the Don Ho Show.
Right.
And I saw you in your moo-moo and with a lay and dancing and singing about Hawaii and Waikiki.
Such a beautiful place. It's so easy to do, really. Had a lovely time there, too.
That really was a spectacular program. I
Well,
thought
thank you.
It was
Thank
neat.
you.
Now, Carol, you've got to tell us a little bit about the things that you have done that have made you, now I'll say it, I know you won't say it, but it's simply true that you really are the first lady to most everybody in your whole profession.
Wow.
You're the first lady. You really are the classic gal in all of that, and there's a reason for it by virtue of the records that have been broken all across the country in things that you've done, like West Side Story and Camelot and
Wow.
I Do. And you have to tell us a little bit about this. How in the world Carol Lawrence ever got onto the stage and into the entertainment business? I've never heard.
Really?
Never.
Okay. I began dancing, they tell me, when I began to walk. There was nothing that was imposed upon me at all. I think instinctively, or maybe God-given, if you want to say, there was a love of movement and music and performing. And so my parents very wisely let me study. So I knew what I was doing, and I went directly to New York City. I was going to Northwestern at the time and asked if I could watch an audition because I was planning to go back to Northwestern. And in my naivete, I thought maybe they'd let me see what an audition was like so that the following year I could be that much ahead. Naturally, they said, absolutely not. You either get into the costume and you try out or forget it. So that's what I did. And
No
it
spectators,
sounds
so you had to become part of the thing even to see it.
right.
That's
Yes.
amazing.
And I wasn't allowed to watch at all. So I thought maybe I could stand in the back and see, just not partake. But they line you all up, and by the end of the day, I was in a show. It sounds like a very bad Betty Grable movie, doesn't it?
Yeah,
But it really happened, and I was on Broadway.
Mind-blowing.
Yes.
Yeah,
So from there on, I did several Broadway shows before West Side Story. West Side was my very first lead, and it was such a wonderful experience. I was very, very lucky and honored to be a part of that production because it was a step forward in musical theater. It was innovative and creative and told a beautiful story. So
I think
was
all
lucky.
of us have heard about and are, very familiar with the really almost a historic significance of the impact of things like West Side Story and,
Yes.
and Camelot.
Right.
And for reasons I don't understand, there aren't as many of us know about the tremendous success of I Do, I Do. And
Right.
I think there's a little bit of a story behind how you got in, you did I Do, I Do. Wasn't that something involving Mary Martin?
Yes, Mary Martin and Bob Preston created the roles, and then I was asked to replace them after a period of time that they, replace Mary, of course, and Gordon McRae did it with me on Broadway, and then I've done it in summer stock. It's the four-poster set to music, only two people on the stage, so you're either singing or dancing or changing your costume, still talking all the time.
It's a very
Very
athletic thing to
strenuous.
have to undertake
Yes.
and be very,
Yes.
very strenuous
I
and
loved it.
demanding.
Yeah.
I would like to see, you did a really one of the beautiful specials that's been done, the Carol Lawrence special.
Yes.
And I would like to see a little bit of that as soon as we can
Okay.
show it for them and tell us how you happened to do that, and who you did it with.
Actually, I did it on CBS, and it was a singing, dancing special. I had the Baja Marimba Band and the Step Brothers on with me. I danced with them, and it was a lovely program. The routine that we're going to see is done on a 10-foot ladder, and I sing and dance while the boys are whirling me about the stage. Kind of dangerous.
Let's have Carol Lawrence on a ladder here now,
Okay.
singing and dancing and doing what she does best.
Thank you. I haven't seen that in so long.
Oh, Carol, that's precious. That's
Right.
really, really delightful. It's so airy and,
Isn't that
and
fun?
lovely.
I've fallen off that ladder many times.
I'll
you
bet
know
you
that.
did during
Yeah,
the
if you can get back on the
preparation of
ladder
that.
before the number ends, stops the show cold.
But you know what? I know that you had practice. You really prepared for the
Yes.
Carol Lawrence show
Yes.
because I don't think many people know that you're a mountain climber. Now, you just don't look like a mountain climber. Now, you may have fallen off the ladder, but
Right.
I don't think you've fallen off very many mountains.
No, I climbed the Grand Teton in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, because we have a house there, and when you look at that beautiful mountain range day after day, it almost beckons you. The challenge is there, you know, when they say it, we climbed it because it was there. And I trained for that too. You have to study. I went to a mountain climbing school. And you
What's
build
the
up
name of that mountain climbing school there?
Exum.
Exum.
Right.
Mr. Exum. I remember him very well at that little
Yes.
school, but he's one of the famous mountain climbers in the whole world.
That's right.
And was involved with in preparation of those that did one of the Everest ascents. I know.
Right? Yes, I didn't know you knew all about that.
And my son Don just climbed the Grand this year, about 2 or 3 months ago.
Oh, how nice. It's a thrilling experience.
Yeah.
Wow. You feel so much closer to God when you get up there.
What else have you climbed other than the Grand? Now that's bad enough. Now I know that that's a tough mountain.
That's the only one, except for practice climbs in the Sierra Mountain Club. That's the only thing that is really important enough to mention. It takes a long time. You don't just go off and climb a mountain unprepared or without a group. You know that, George.
And that mountain has claimed a lot up
Yes, it has.
up there, and so I just want to congratulate you
Thank
for
you.
having
Thank
done
you.
the Grand. And
Yes.
the people salute you there in
Oh.
Jackson and around Jackson Hole if you have actually done the Grand,
well,
and it's
it's a good climb. We climbed it in the snow, which was very, very difficult. It wasn't that it was wintertime. It was September 5th. Was my
well, you can
birthday.
have snow up there, ain't there? You did on your
Yeah,
birthday?
it was my birthday, and they don't
Now
usually
you
climb.
stayed overnight?
Yes, it's a 2-day climb.
You stayed in that little Quonset hut that they
Yes,
carried all the way up to the top.
exactly. And then
Yeah.
you get up at 4 a.m., make the final ascent, and then take the rest of the day to come down. But when we awoke at 4 a.m., it was hailing, and you couldn't see
Great.
the mountain, and it was just 2 feet away. So we waited 2 hours, and when it was snowing heavily, Bill Briggs, our leader, said, "I think we can make it." And we tried, and we did. But, you know, all those wonderful finger grips that you intend and need all the way were filled with ice. So I did fall off that, you know, not very far, because I was tied into 2 people always. But that adds to the challenge.
But Carol, do you know how many people have endeavored to climb that mountain and haven't made it? You know,
No,
so
I
that
didn't.
it isn't everybody that goes up that actually gets, you know, that can
Yeah.
make it all the way to the top of the Grand, and like Everest again too.
Oh, yes.
Now that we've found your secret about how you're able to stay on that step ladder there, we need to hear about Sound of Music, and I think you did Funny Girl too.
Yes.
So you have you really have a lot of music in you.
I enjoy music. I've always wanted to be a musical comedy performer, and thank heaven I'm one of those lucky people who enjoy what they're working at, and that's a blessing in itself. I've done as many musical comedies as I can in order to grow. You only learn from actually doing, actually walking
And
in
you are
those streets.
tremendously active too.
Yes.
You're just one of the busiest people I know, because we've been trying to get you on High Adventure
I
for
know.
6 or 7 or 8 months' time.
Yes.
You know, we have a secret about Carol Lawrence, the mountain climber. If you think that's a surprise, will you find out the real secret about Carol Lawrence? And we're going to tell you about it right after this.
Voice of Jerusalem with Jackie Mitchum-Yaki is made possible with the generous support of High Adventure Ministries partners. Be sure to request a copy of our monthly newsletter, which features ministry updates and a special letter from Jackie. Also, visit highadventure.org, where you can listen to The Voice of Hope, which is our radio channel from Jerusalem, Israel, and watch the HATV channels, which include our Holocaust Survivor series, and much, much more. You can contact us by calling 1-800-517-HOPE. That's 1-800-517-4673. Or write to us at High Adventure Ministries, P.O. Box 197569, Louisville, Kentucky 40259. We look forward to hearing from you, and thanks for joining us for this edition of Voice of Jerusalem with Jackie Mitchum-Yaki.
Welcome back with Carol Lawrence in person. We have had her climbing mountains and falling
Right.
off of ladders and singing and being involved with breaking records all across the country, which she has. Her performances in Camelot and West Side Story and I Do, and Funny Girl too have broken records in Muncie and Kokomo and New York
All those
and
cities,
Chicago
everywhere,
and,
yes, it's
and
nice.
Timbuktu, I think. But what I really want to
That's
what
right.
I really want to hear you do is I
Yes.
want to hear you sing.
All
We want to
right.
hear you sing "Someone Who Can" from a brand new Carol Lawrence album. Now we have been finding out here about this Carol Lawrence person of some lovely things about the fact that she almost became a Kiwi when she was just in New Zealand, just having come back from there, and also having come back from having done the Don Ho show in Honolulu in the Waikiki area. And so we're going to listen now to and begin to get an idea of what the real secret, a new love that's in Carol Lawrence's life. She has a new love that's entered her life, and she's going to begin to sing about him right now. "Someone Who Can" by Miss Carol Lawrence.
If you're looking for a world where everyone is in love, if you want to feel so high that nothing could be above, but if you need someone to show you the master plan, follow me, I know someone who can. Oh, I know someone who can turn a cloudy sky into blue. I know someone who can make a blind man see. I know someone who can take a life and make it brand new, and he'll do it both for you and for me. Do you feel the need to put some meaning into your day? Do you feel the need for someone who has great things to say? And if you need someone to show you the master plan, follow me, I know someone who can. Oh, I know someone who can turn a cloudy sky into blue. I know someone who can make a blind man see. I know someone who can take a life and make it brand new, and he'll do it both for you and for me. I know someone, I know someone, I know someone who can do it all for you. And if you need someone to show you the master plan, follow me, I know someone, and Jesus is that someone who can. Yes, he can.
Oh, Carol Lawrence, you're too much. And I want to know whether that is a song just to sing, or whether that has some real meaning down there in
I don't think you
secret
could
place where you live.
just sing that song without having it mean an awful lot to you. It is one of the songs from my album, which is called New Friends.
I'd like to see that album. That is brand new, and the
think-
reason I'd like to see it, there it is.
There it is.
Oh, that's lovely. Now, I have knowledge of the fact that that's up for a Grammy,
Yes, it is.
and it should be. That's
It's a religious album.
Is that the first
Yes,
one that
it's
you've
my
ever
first
done?
religious album. I've done other albums before that.
Sure.
But it was one of the finalists in the Dove Awards, which is Nashville's highest award, for a gospel album by a non-gospel performer. And I guess I qualify for that because this is a first in my life. And it's a very exciting one.
Pretty shortly, I think you're going to be able to be a gospel performer, too, because I think that's what you really are. I know that you're
Well.
Miss Carol Lawrence, but there's something even higher than that.
Yes.
And you've reached up, and tell us how that ever happened, Carol Lawrence, and
Well,
and who Jesus really is to you.
in a lovely way, it came through my children. They were this is about 4 or 5 years ago when they were 6 and 7. They began asking those penetrating questions about God. And although I've been a Christian all my life, I didn't feel adequate to answer them in the spiritually nourishing way that I wanted them answered.
Now, when you say you've been a Christian all your life, are you saying that that you went to church all your life? Or
Yes.
what are you really saying? I know that
Yes.
there's so many of us that that have gone to church or even been carried into church
Yes.
all of our life, is that what you were saying? And then something else has happened
Well, something
lately?
more than going to church has happened to me. I have found through Pat Boone, actually. I asked what would be a good church school for my children, and he said, why don't you try Bel Air Presbyterian Church? Something marvelous is happening up there. So I went to a Sunday service, and I found the people to be unlike any other congregation I'd ever seen. They were warm and caring. They said, how are you? And waited for an answer. Really waited and were interested to hear. I brought my children to Sunday school, and they loved it. And through there, I don't know, it was a wonderful flowing warmth that I felt. I wanted to know more about that, and I wanted to know how I could find it for myself. So although I was trying to find a place for my children to be happy and nourished, I think the Lord was leading me because that's what I needed too. And I became active in some of the projects, some of the programs. I began a Bethel study there, Bible study. And then I joined a covenant group, a fellowship group. And I think that was the turning point in my life because they led me to new ideas, new understanding of what Christ could mean in my life. A life as wound up in show business as mine is, as it still is. But once I asked Christ into my heart to become the center of my life, he began opening doors and windows that never existed for me before.
Carol, can you remember, there always is a particular moment that you can look back on and realize that that was the spiritual watershed of your life. And can you remember where it was and when it was that you just simply said yes to Jesus to take over all of you? Was that while you were in a covenant glass,
yes.
or after one at home, or just where did this happen?
It was such a gradual thing, George. It isn't something that I can point to and say there was a bolt of lightning and my eyes were open and the world looked different. It was a gradual change that came in me over a 3-year period. And I don't know whether it was part of my working with telethons with crippled children. Everything that I touched connected with his guidance was so fruitful, so wonderfully helpful.
Have you
to me.
become more conscious of his of Jesus' role in your life, shaping your thoughts and your decisions?
Yes, I have.
And do you ever have any? Have you ever had any personal things like some people do of having fear or excessive loneliness or anything like that? That he's changed since you've made him number one?
Yes, I think that one has to be very, very honest. And my children take a tremendous priority in my life. And although we are all faced with crises, I think that I'm going through crises constantly. And dealing with them has become possible and hopeful in my life. And only since I've accepted Christ fully in a personal relationship. I've always accepted Christ. That's a misnomer. But I think that in living more for him than for me, the difference comes.
So he has become really your king and really number one, even above your career, above you, even above your children.
Yes.
That's the way it is. And then the relationships with the children or the family begin to straighten out if we get that vertical relationship.
Exactly.
Right. That's very beautiful. And would you say that he's, I know that life really is, in a way, a rolling crisis for just everybody. We have different flavors, different kinds, different tests. But the reality of life on this earth is that it's full of pressures and problems. And you're telling us today, Carol Lawrence, that even you who walk on the mountaintops found that that Jesus was vital to you to go through the crisis times as well as the victory times.
The point is that it's always most fearful to walk alone. And once you ask Christ into your heart, you're never alone again. Whether you're standing on an opening night stage on Broadway, on the top of a mountain, or just walking through life with your children, I think that you must know that his unconditional love is always there to lean on.
Would you say that's your secret in life?
That is my secret, yes. And I wish I'd discovered it when I was 4 or 5.
Have you found that talking to God has become something that's strengthening to you? Does it mean a lot to you as you just talk to him like a friend?
Yes. I take him right on stage with me. And it is wonderful what happens. Songs that I thought I didn't know at all just pour right out without even thinking, with a joy that the audience seems to understand. Really, it's quite amazing.
You even took Jesus with you up onto the Grand Teton Mountain.
Yes, I did.
Clear at the top there where you can see over into Idaho and down into the Jackson Hole. Tell us about your children, their names and their...
Christopher and Michael Goulet are 10 and 11 years old, and they sing with me at church. We have a brand new service at Bel Air that begins at 8:15 in the morning, which is kind of difficult. It's for the family to bring your children, and we have sung there together. We have sung at the Christmas Eve services.
Beautiful.
And
how many children now?
2 boys.
2 boys. That's
Yes.
precious. We have 2 boys and 2 girls, so I know those 2 boys are very precious
Right.
to you.
Yes, they are.
And so we have discovered that secret ingredient which sets this life apart. That step which has made Carol Lawrence forever uncommon. And yes, it was Carol's spiritual encounter with Jesus as Lord that turned her own life over to one of high adventure. And now you too can step across that line into eternal success by saying yes to Jesus this very day.
I hope that you enjoyed this as much as I did. You will see that High Adventure Ministries has a great heritage. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. And don't forget, please pray for the peace of Jerusalem so you might prosper.
Voice of Jerusalem with Jackie Mitchum Yaki is made possible with the generous support of High Adventure Ministries partners. Be sure to request a copy of our monthly newsletter, which features ministry updates and a special letter from Jackie. Also, visit highadventure.org, where you can listen to the Voice of Hope, which is our radio channel from Jerusalem, Israel, and watch the HATV channels, which include our Holocaust Survivor series, and much, much more. You can contact us by calling 1-800-517-HOPE. That's 1-800-517-4673. Or write to us at High Adventure Ministries, P.O. Box 197569, Louisville, Kentucky 40259. We look forward to hearing from you. And thanks for joining us for this edition of Voice of Jerusalem with Jackie Mitchum Yaki.
Be a part of fulfilling biblical prophecy by planting a tree in Israel in memory of your loved one for just $25. A beautiful certificate will be mailed to you from the Holy Land. Call 1-800-517-HOPE. That's 1-800-517-4673.